As technology billionaire Elon Musk strides into Judge Rachel Maddow's courtroom, utterly alone and unarmed by legal counsel in a fierce patent battle, a dark chuckle escapes her lips, echoing through the tense air. After 30 years on the bench, she has witnessed countless cases, yet nothing could prepare her for the spectacle of such immense wealth paired with such staggering foolishness. Unbeknownst to her, Musk's clumsy display conceals a masterful legal maneuver. As Magnetech's costly attorneys unveil their seemingly flawless argument, the judge relentlessly ridicules Musk's inexperienced strategy. Yet, concealed beneath the chaos of his disheveled papers and bewildered expression, a cunning trap is being meticulously crafted, one that will leave the entire courtroom in stunned silence, particularly the judge who dared to underestimate his resolve. Judge Rachel Maddow struck her gavel with a forceful authority, echoing through the tense silence of the courtroom 3 resounding times. The sound reverberated ominously through courtroom 7 of the San Francisco Federal Building. "The court is now in session," she declared, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "Case number 2025, CV 7842, Magnetech Industries against Musk Innovations." Judge Maddow had dedicated 3 decades to the weighty responsibilities of the bench. In that time, she had witnessed everything unfold before her eyes. Powerful tech moguls, glamorous film icons, deceitful politicians. Neither fear nor awe gripped her. They were all just shadows in her presence. As Elon Musk strode into her courtroom utterly alone, a flicker of amusement danced across her lips, betraying her composed facade. Yet another wealthy man, convinced that the rules were mere suggestions meant for others, not for him. "Mr. Musk," she said, her eyes darting to the papers in her hands, "my records indicate that you are representing yourself today. Is that accurate?" Musk rose to his feet, a palpable tension filling the air. He donned a stark dark suit, devoid of a tie. "Indeed, Your Honor." A hushed murmur swept across the courtroom, thick with anticipation. Even the court reporter's eyebrows shot up in disbelief. "A bold choice," Judge Maddow declared, his voice echoing in the tense silence of the courtroom. "Time is of the essence. We must act swiftly. Let the opening statements commence. Magnetech, the moment has arrived for you to take the stage." Dominic Carl, the formidable attorney for Magnetech, strode purposefully toward the bench, tension crackling in the air. He towered above the crowd, impeccably dressed in a suit that whispered of wealth, his slick gray hair gleaming under the harsh lights. The glasses perched on his nose seemed to hold a value that could rival the price of an average car, hinting at a life steeped in luxury and power. "Your Honor," Carl began, "the complexities of this case are anything but simple. Mr. Musk's company has taken our client's groundbreaking battery design, leaving us in a state of disbelief. We possess the patent. The evidence is undeniable. As this trial reaches its climax, the truth will emerge, undeniable and unyielding." Judge Maddow's head moved in a slow, deliberate nod, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. "Thank you, Mr. Carl. Mr. Musk, the floor is yours for your opening statement." Musk strode purposefully to the front of the courtroom, every step echoing with anticipation. He yanked out a handful of crumpled papers from his pocket, and in a moment of tension, one slipped from his grasp and fell to the ground. As he bent to pick it up, a low, mocking chuckle echoed from the gallery, slicing through the tension in the air. Your Honor," he began, his voice barely above a whisper, laden with an unexpected weight. "I stand before you, driven by the urgent need to confront Magnetech, who is poised to seize the very essence of what my team has painstakingly crafted." He fumbled with his papers, desperately trying to regain his lost position. "The battery design in question employs a unique coating that—" Musk halted, a look of bewilderment crossing his face. "Apologies, but I possess some diagrams." Somewhere, Judge Maddow found herself unable to resist. A faint, nervous laugh slipped from her lips. "Mr. Musk," she declared, "this is not a rocket launch." In my courtroom, every moment is a high-stakes battle where proper legal procedure reigns supreme. Is your evidence meticulously organized and poised for presentation?" "I believe so, Your Honor," he responded, his hands trembling as they fumbled through the papers. The gallery burst into a cacophony of laughter, a sound that echoed through the air like thunder. Even the bailiff couldn't suppress a smile. Judge Maddow raised her hand for silence, yet her eyes glimmered with a mischievous light. She had witnessed this moment unfold once again. Wealthy individuals believing they can navigate the courtroom unprepared, as if luck alone will shield them from the consequences of their actions. From the plaintiff's table, Jonathan Karl cast a piercing gaze at Musk, a smirk of triumph etched across his face. This was shaping up to be far more challenging than he had anticipated. In the gallery, a young woman with short black hair observed with an escalating sense of dread. Sean Hannity, Musk's head engineer, clenched her hands tightly in her lap, a storm of anxiety brewing within her. Everything was unraveling before my eyes. "Perhaps," Judge Maddow proposed, his voice laced with an unsettling edge, "you ought to have sought the counsel of an attorney, Mr. Musk. Patent law is a labyrinth of complexity. Few can bear the weight of it without the armor of legal training." "I will manage," Musk replied, his voice steady as he meticulously arranged his papers, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. With a heavy sigh, the judge resigned to the weight of the moment. "Magnetech, the moment has arrived for you to unveil your case." As Karl advanced, flanked by his trio of assistants, meticulously maneuvering the meticulously arranged evidence boxes, Judge Maddow reclined in her chair, a palpable tension filling the air. She locked eyes with her clerk, a subtle yet charged eye roll escaping her lips. The clerk's smile held a knowing intensity, a silent acknowledgement of unspoken truths. Karl orchestrated a striking digital presentation, each detail meticulously crafted to captivate the audience's attention. "Your Honor, if I may proceed?" She nodded, a silent agreement hanging in the air, thick with anticipation. The courtroom lights flickered and plunged into darkness as a crystal-clear slide ominously emerged on the screen. On March 15th, the tension mounted as Magnetech filed this patent, Karl began. "Behold, the design stands as a groundbreaking marvel." Judge Maddow's gaze pierced the air, his attention unwavering as he stole fleeting glances at Musk, the tension thickening with each passing moment. He was taking notes, his expression a mask of unreadable intensity. In a shocking turn of events, Mr. Musk's company launched an identical design in April, Karl revealed, leaving everyone on edge. The timeline stands as undeniable evidence of our claim. Throughout the presentation, Musk exuded an unsettling calmness that hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. Once, Judge Maddow's piercing gaze fell upon him as he found himself fixated on a seemingly random point on the courtroom wall. Tension thick in the air. Was he truly aware of what was happening around him? "Mr. Musk," she cut in sharply, "are you truly with us?" "Indeed, Your Honor," he responded, his eyes fluttering open as if emerging from a profound reverie. "Excellent, for I will not allow you to squander this court's time if you are not fully committed to these proceedings." Musk's face flushed with a deep crimson, yet he gave a reluctant nod. As the morning session dragged on, Judge Maddow felt her irritation with Musk's nonchalant demeanor intensify, a storm brewing beneath her composed exterior. As he mustered the courage to voice his dissent, the words tumbled out in a chaotic rush, so poorly constructed that she had no choice but to interrupt him, her patience fraying at the edges. "Mr. Musk, that is not how hearsay operates," she declared, her impatience barely concealed. "Could it be that you are in dire need of a crash course in Legal Procedure 101? The courtroom erupted in a wave of nervous laughter once more. Unbeknownst to Judge Maddow, the eccentric billionaire before her was far from the unprepared figure he appeared to be. Behind his clumsy facade and chaotic documents, Elon Musk was orchestrating a scheme that would soon leave everyone in the courtroom, including her, utterly speechless. 6 months earlier, the lab pulsed with an electric intensity. Bright lights glared off polished metal surfaces as Elon Musk and Sean Hannity leaned over a workbench, their focus intense and palpable. Between them loomed a device, its size no greater than a shoebox, yet it held an unsettling weight in the air. It appeared ordinary, merely a metal case intertwined with wires, yet both understood the monumental power it held to alter the very fabric of existence. "Run the test again," Musk commanded, his gaze fixed intently on the device, a storm of anticipation brewing in the air. Leela's fingers danced nervously across the surface of her tablet. The device pulsed with an ominous blue light along its edges. "Power output clung to 98% efficiency," she reported, her eyes wide with intensity. "That surpasses everything available on the market by a staggering threefold." Musk's expression remained stoic. He seldom allowed himself such moments while working, yet a fierce spark ignited in his eyes. He declared with intensity, "If this succeeds on a grand scale, we could fuel a house for an entire month with something no larger than a brick, or propel a car for 1,000 miles. "We did it," Leila breathed, her voice trembling with urgency. "We truly accomplished it." In that moment, Musk's phone erupted with a buzz. He shot a quick look at the screen, his brow furrowing in deep concern. "Maggie, Haberman has arrived," he declared. Leila's smile vanished, leaving a haunting silence in its wake. "Who is the enigmatic CEO of Magnetech? Why must this happen? He is eager to discuss a partnership." Musk let out a heavy sigh, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "Conceal this at all costs? I will confront him in the conference room." "Are you absolutely certain that's a wise choice?" Leila demanded. "Magnetech has a history of stealing designs. Allow me to bear that burden." Musk moved toward the door, each step heavy with anticipation. "Conceal every crucial detail." Maggie Haberman loomed tall and polished, his perfect teeth gleaming like a warning, and his handshake too firm, leaving an unsettling impression in its wake. "Elon, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me," Haberman declared with intensity. Two assistants stood at his sides, tablets clutched tightly in their hands. "What is it that I can do for you, Maggie?" Musk inquired, cutting straight to the chase, disregarding any pretense of pleasantries. "I will dive straight in. Magnetech is eager to forge a partnership with you in the realm of energy storage. We possess the manufacturing prowess you desperately need, while you hold the creative fire that our engineers occasionally overlook." Musk's head moved in a deliberate, measured manner. "Fascinating. What are you plotting in that mind of yours?" "A tour today, and then we will delve into the details. I can't wait to witness the fruits of your labor." Haberman's smile was sharp and predatory, a glint of danger lurking beneath the surface. Musk appeared to weigh this carefully. "A swift journey awaits, then. Yet certain areas remain shrouded in mystery, strictly off-limits. Research is unfolding, with every moment carrying the weight of potential discovery." "Absolutely. Absolutely." Haberman's agreement came swiftly, a decision made in the heat of the moment. As they traversed the facility, Musk's gaze fell upon Haberman, who lingered in the shadows, his eyes scanning every corner with an intensity that sent a shiver down the spine. Once, Musk felt a shiver run down his spine as he caught a fleeting glimpse of one of Haberman's assistants, their camera poised, capturing a moment in secrecy, believing themselves unseen. As they approached the imposing main lab doors, Musk came to an abrupt halt. "This area is restricted." Haberman nodded, a flicker of tension in his eyes, understanding the weight of the warning, but Musk sensed the flicker of disappointment burning in his eyes. "I've witnessed enough to understand the potential we hold," Haberman declared, his hand reaching out with urgency. "I will have my team reach out to yours." Once Haberman departed, Musk rushed directly to security, urgency pulsing through his veins. "I demand every single frame of Haberman's visit," he commanded, his voice low and intense as he addressed the head of security, with each passing second. In the dim light of his office, Musk watched the footage again, tension thick in the air. There it stood, a looming presence in the shadows. As Haberman's assistant stealthily captured images, the tension in the air thickened, knowing Musk was oblivious to the unfolding drama behind him. Haberman himself, eyes narrowed, leaned closer to the window, heart racing as he scanned the restricted lab, convinced that no one was watching. "I knew it," Musk whispered, his voice laced with an unsettling certainty. 2 months later, Sean stormed into Musk's office, her face ablaze with fury. "Magnetech just filed a patent," she exclaimed, slamming a printout onto his desk, "for an energy storage device that uses our nano-coating technology." "They took it, Elon. They took our design from us." Musk seized the papers, his gaze sweeping over them with an unsettling calmness, a calmness that felt almost foreboding. "You don't seem surprised," Sean said, her eyes piercing as she scrutinized his face. "I am not." Musk reclined in his chair, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "Haberman has yet to reach out regarding that partnership." A sense of foreboding gripped me. I could feel it in my bones. Something was amiss. "We must confront this," Sean shouted, her voice filled with urgency. "Summon the lawyers immediately. I have already spoken to them." Musk rose abruptly, striding toward the window with purpose. "They warned that the challenge to prove it will be formidable." Haberman moved with utmost caution, every step laden with unspoken tension. "Are we really just going to surrender?" Sean's heart raced as the words pierced through the air, leaving her in a state of disbelief. "I never uttered those words." Musk turned, an unsettling glimmer igniting in his eyes. "I will take matters into my own hands." Sean's jaw fell open in shock. "Are you asking about me, specifically? In the courtroom?" "Indeed, but Elon, you stand outside the realm of law." "No," he conceded, "I am not." In the weeks that followed, Musk's behavior became more and more peculiar, leaving everyone on edge. He abruptly canceled the meetings. He vanished into the shadows for what felt like an eternity. In the dead of night, Sean stumbled upon him in his office, engulfed by a sea of legal textbooks, feverishly scribbling notes in the margins, the weight of the world pressing down on him. "This is insane," she exclaimed, her hand trembling as she grasped the book on patent law. "A legal team stands ready for this challenge." "They'll expect a legal team," Musk replied, his gaze fixed on the ground, a storm brewing in the air. "They will never see me coming. This is an absolutely dreadful idea. Haberman possesses the most formidable lawyers, unmatched in their prowess. Money holds the power to purchase." Musk finally lifted his gaze, his eyes weary yet resolute. "There are moments when you must take matters into your own hands." "Is this truly about your ego?" Sean demanded, "demonstrating your superiority in intellect over all others?" "Absolutely not." Musk's head moved in a swift, decisive motion, a clear signal of his disapproval. "It's a matter of justice, a relentless pursuit that hangs in the balance, teetering on the edge of fate. And what of the strategy?" Sean let out a heavy sigh, her doubts lingering in the air. What kind of strategy leads one to face off in court, utterly unprepared, against seasoned attorneys? Musk's smile broke through the shadows for the first time that night. "Who dared to suggest that I was unprepared?" He pivoted his notebook in her direction, the air thick with unspoken tension. The pages were alive with precise notes, intricate diagrams, and a timeline that seemed to pulse with significance. "I know exactly what I'm doing," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, tension hanging in the air. "Believe in me." As Sean gazed upon the resolute expression of her boss, a gnawing sense of dread took hold of her. She feared that this time his renowned confidence could very well lead him to ruin. What she remained oblivious to was the fact that Elon Musk possessed far more than mere notes and diagrams. He devised a plan, one that could change everything, a scheme poised to send shockwaves through the courtroom, particularly aimed at a judge known for his unwavering skepticism. As the clock ticked ominously, the trial resumed in the courtroom, tension hanging thick in the air after the lunch break. Judge Maddow adjusted her black robes, a sharp glint in her eye as she glanced at her watch, the tension in the air palpable. Jonathan Karl stood poised, tension crackling in the air as he unveiled his next visual aid, a massive screen illuminating the stark contrasts between the two companies' battery designs, each detail laden with significance. "As you can clearly see, Your Honor," Karl declared, his voice rising with intensity as he directed the laser pointer, "the similarities are undeniable. The internal structure, the cooling system, even the special coating, they mirror each other perfectly." From her elevated bench, Judge Maddow's gaze pierced the room, a silent acknowledgement that sent a ripple of tension through the air. "Proceed, Mr. Karl." "Magnetech poured millions into the development of this technology," Karl pressed on, advancing to the next slide. "After years of relentless research, this momentous breakthrough has finally emerged. Then, mere weeks after we submitted our patent, Mr. Musk's company shockingly unveiled a product that mirrored ours exactly. In the gallery, reporters furiously scribbled notes, their pens racing against the ticking clock of unfolding events. The case had captivated the world's media, drawing eyes and ears from every corner of the globe. Tech journalists, business reporters, and curious onlookers filled the rows of seats, anticipation hanging thick in the air. "We'd like to call our first witness," Karl announced, the air thick with anticipation. "Dr. Alan Murphy, the formidable leader of Magnetech's Research and Development Division." A gaunt figure, his wire-rimmed glasses glinting under the harsh lights, ascended to the stand, the air thick with anticipation. After being sworn in, he took his place in the witness chair, a palpable tension radiating from him. "Dr. Murphy," Karl began, "the weight of this moment hangs in the air. Please, for the court, elucidate your pivotal role in the creation of this groundbreaking battery technology." Murphy revealed with a weighty pause that he was the one who led the team responsible for the groundbreaking nano-coating. It stands as the pivotal breakthrough, unlocking unprecedented energy density and lightning-fast charging times. "And when did you embark on this perilous journey?" "About 18 months ago," Murphy responded with unwavering confidence. Judge Maddow's gaze was fixed, tension crackling in the air as Karl meticulously navigated his witness through the intricate labyrinth of technology. The attorney was a master of their craft, dissecting intricate concepts with precision, making the seemingly impossible comprehensible. The judge sat in her seat, a storm of thoughts swirling within her as she observed the lawyer's commanding presence and the cutting-edge technology at play. The tension in the room thickened, each moment charged with anticipation, leaving her both intrigued and unsettled. Every so often her eyes darted toward Musk, a flicker of tension hanging in the air. He stood there, an unsettling calmness enveloping him, meticulously jotting down notes while voicing barely a whisper of dissent. Once she found him fixated on a particular ceiling tile, his gaze distant and his mind adrift in a storm of unspoken thoughts. "Mr. Musk," she interjected, her voice cutting through the air, "are you truly with us?" Musk's eyes narrowed as he locked onto her, the air thick with anticipation. "Indeed, Your Honor. Merely contemplating the testimony." Judge Maddow's brow furrowed in deep disapproval. "Please, give it your utmost attention. This is your case, after all." A handful of individuals in the gallery let out a nervous chuckle. Judge Maddow permitted herself a fleeting smile, a momentary crack in her otherwise stern facade. She had faced arrogant tech CEOs in the past, but this time was different. They didn't even bother to feign seriousness about the court proceedings. The testimony pressed on, with Karl summoning a patent expert, who laid bare the intricate filing process and the harrowing timeline that followed. Once more, the evidence loomed ominously over Musk, casting shadows of doubt and suspicion. As you can see, the expert concluded with a weighty certainty, Magnetech's filing ominously predates any public mention of similar technology from Mr. Musk's company. Judge Maddow's gaze fell sharply upon Musk, who was furiously scribbling in his notebook, the tension in the room palpable. For a fleeting instant, a surge of curiosity gripped her as she pondered the strategy, if there was one, that he was meticulously crafting. Then she forcefully cast the thought aside. He was unmistakably in over his head. "Your Honor," Carl declared, "I stand ready to unveil our next piece of evidence." An assistant cautiously wheeled in a covered object, the air thick with anticipation. With a tense flourish, Carl tore away the cloth, unveiling a battery prototype that seemed to pulse with potential. "This is the working prototype we developed before filing the patent," Carl explained, "crafted entirely by the dedicated team at Magnetech." From her seat in the gallery, Sean Hannity tensed, her body rigid with anticipation. She leaned forward, her gaze fixed on the device, a flicker of recognition igniting in her narrowed eyes. Judge Maddow's gaze locked onto the young woman's reaction, a flicker of realization igniting within him as he etched a mental note into the depths of his mind. A sudden jolt surged through me, ignited by that prototype, as if it held a secret that demanded to be uncovered. "Would you like to examine the device, Your Honor?" Carl offered, his voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of tension. "Thank you, Mr. Carl." Judge Maddow grasped the prototype, her fingers trembling as she examined it with intense scrutiny. In a surprising twist of fate, she had chosen to delve into the world of engineering during her college years. Even with her legal background looming over her like a shadow, there was an undeniable elegance to the design, a striking efficiency that left her in awe, she confessed, as she reluctantly returned the device. Carl smiled, a surge of triumph coursing through him. "We now summon our final witness of the day, Maggie Haberman, the formidable CEO of Magnetech." The tall, polished man Musk had encountered months prior advanced with an air of unwavering confidence to the witness stand. Upon taking the oath, he sat upright, radiating an air of unwavering confidence. "Mr. Haberman," Cal began, the air thick with anticipation, "please tell the court about your company's unwavering commitment to innovation." Haberman began his speech, each word carefully crafted, as he delved into the tumultuous history of Magnetech's groundbreaking innovations. Judge Maddow's gaze was sharp and unwavering, his attention fixed on Musk, each fleeting glance a silent probe into the depths of his reaction. To her astonishment, Musk was now completely absorbed, his gaze fixed on Haberman with an unwavering intensity. His gaze held an unsettling intensity, as if it were a hunter stalking its prey. For the first time, Judge Maddow was engulfed by a sudden, unsettling flicker of doubt. Could there be deeper layers to Musk's strategy than she had ever imagined? "Were you in any way connected to Mr. Musk or his company before embarking on the creation of this technology?" Carl demanded of Haberman. "Minimal," Haberman replied, his voice steady yet charged with an unspoken intensity. "We had a fleeting meeting about the possibility of collaboration, but ultimately it led to nothing." Judge Maddow caught a fleeting glimpse of a smile flicker across Musk's face, a moment charged with unspoken tension. As Haberman concluded his testimony, Carl moved toward the bench, tension crackling in the air. "Your Honor, the moment has arrived for Mr. Musk to confront our witness in cross-examination." Judge Maddow fixed his piercing gaze on Musk. "Mr. Musk, do you wish to interrogate Mr. Haberman?" Musk rose with deliberate slowness. "At this moment, Your Honor, I must respectfully decline. I will hold my questions in suspense for now." Haberman's eyes widened in shock, a moment of disbelief washing over him, before a wave of relief surged through him. He descended from the witness stand, casting a victorious glare at Musk as he made his way back to his seat. "Very well, Judge Maddow," she said, her voice trembling as she struggled to conceal her disappointment. She had anticipated, with a heart pounding in her chest, that there would be at least some desperate attempt at a defense. "Mr. Carl, the floor is yours. Proceed with your revelations." "Your Honor," Carl declared with unwavering conviction, We have laid bare undeniable evidence that Magnetech was the pioneer in developing and patenting this technology. Mr. Musk's company has unmistakably replicated our client's groundbreaking design. The evidence stands resolute, demanding attention and leaving no room for doubt. Judge Maddow's head tilted slightly, a silent acknowledgement of the weight behind Carl's assessment, the tension in the room palpable. The case appeared deceptively simple. "Mr. Musk," she declared, her gaze fixed on the billionaire, "tomorrow you will face the moment to present your defense. You must prepare more thoroughly than you have today." Musk's gaze lifted from the pages of his notebook, a storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. "Your Honor, I am grateful for your concern." Something in his tone caused Judge Maddow to halt, a sudden weight pressing upon the air. A confidence lingered, starkly contrasting with his seemingly frail position. As she readied herself to conclude the day, her gaze fell upon Musk, fixated once more on that same haunting spot on the wall. "Mr. Musk, are you even paying attention?" she demanded, her voice cutting through the air like a knife. Musk fixed his gaze on her, his eyes sharp and piercing. "Without fail, Your Honor. Far more than you could ever imagine." For reasons she couldn't fathom, a chilling sensation coursed down Judge Maddow's spine, gripping her with an unsettling urgency. Perhaps there lurked a depth to Elon Musk that eluded the casual observer. But what scheme could he possibly have devised to combat the overwhelming tide of evidence stacked against him? "Court is adjourned until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning," Judge Maddow declared, her gavel striking the bench with a resounding finality. As the crowd surged out of the courtroom, Musk clutched his disheveled stack of papers, tension crackling in the air. "Better luck tomorrow, Musk," he murmured, a weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. "Yet, I fear that mere luck may not suffice." Musk's head moved slightly, a silent acknowledgement that hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. "Until tomorrow, Carl." In the hallway outside, reporters surged around both men, their voices a cacophony of urgency and anticipation. "Mr. Musk, will you engage an attorney at this moment?" A voice erupted into the silence. "Mr. Carl, is this case truly as straightforward as it appears?" Dialed yet another number. Musk surged through the throng, silence hanging heavily in the air. Sean raced to him at the courthouse steps, her heart pounding with urgency. "That was brutal," she exclaimed. "Haberman, with a chilling calmness, deceived the court about your meeting, and I couldn't help but notice." Musk responded with an unsettling calmness. "And that prototype, it was our design, our creation, our hope hanging by a thread. They have altered the outer casing, and the implications of this change loom large. I am aware." Sean seized his arm, halting him in his tracks. "Elon, the time has come for you to take action. They are obliterating us within those walls." Musk cast a fleeting look over his shoulder at the courthouse, his expression a mask of inscrutability. "I'm on the brink of it." 20 minutes later, they found themselves in a rented office, tension thick in the air, directly across from the imposing courthouse. Musk had transformed it into a makeshift battleground of innovation, filled with humming computers, sprawling whiteboards, and chaotic boxes of files, each holding the weight of untold possibilities. "What are we doing here?" The weight of the moment hangs heavy in the air, a question that echoes with urgency and uncertainty. Sean inquired, her eyes fixed on Musk as he powered up the laptop, the air thick with anticipation. With a heavy heart, he responded, "I urgently require you to retrieve the security logs from our building for the day Haberman made his visit." "Why are the security logs in question?" "You must believe me." As Sean toiled away, Musk's fingers danced over the phone, initiating a call that could change everything. "It's me," he declared, his voice heavy with urgency as he spoke to the person on the other end. "Are you prepared for what tomorrow holds?" He strained to listen, every second stretching into an eternity. "Excellent. Keep in mind the moment is crucial." Sean's gaze shot up from her computer, a sudden urgency gripping her heart. "The logs are in my possession." "What comes next?" Locate every piece of footage featuring Haberman and his team. I demand to know every single second they spent within our walls." For hours, they pored over the security videos, each frame a potential clue, each second stretching into an eternity. Sean's breath caught in her throat as she realized what Musk was searching for. With a sudden, sharp gesture, she directed everyone's gaze to the screen, Haberman's assistant stealthily capturing images in the forbidden zone. Musk nodded, a silent acknowledgement that hung heavy in the air. "And here," he said, shifting to another clip. "Haberman himself peered through the lab window after I warned him that area was off-limits." "This proves they were spying," Sean exclaimed, her voice trembling with anticipation. But will it be sufficient to secure victory in the case? It was not solely his doing, Musk conceded. We must have more. With a swift motion, he extracted his phone and sent a text, the weight of anticipation hanging in the air. In mere moments, it erupted with a response. Musk's lips curled into a smile as he absorbed the words before him. "What is happening?" Sean demanded. "Let's just say, I've been entrenched in this case far longer than Haberman could ever imagine." As the clock inched closer to midnight, Musk remained locked in a fervent preparation, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. He had meticulously pieced together what appeared to be a small electronic device on the desk, its presence looming with an air of mystery. "What is that?" Sean inquired, a yawn escaping her lips, the weight of fatigue heavy in the air. "A demonstration," Musk responded, his voice laced with an intensity that hung in the air. "For tomorrow, the weight of anticipation hangs heavy in the air. Shouldn't you be focused on crafting your legal arguments instead?" Musk's gaze shot upward, a fierce spark igniting in his eye. "At times, the most compelling case isn't built on legalities, but rather on something far more profound." The dawn broke with an unsettling swiftness. In the dimly lit courtroom, the air thick with anticipation, Judge Maddow's gavel struck the wood, commanding silence as he called the session to order. "Mr. Musk, are you prepared to unveil your defense?" she asked, bracing herself for the all-too-familiar clumsiness that had unfolded the day before. Musk rose to his feet. "Your Honor, I must urgently request a one-day recess." Gasps of disbelief echoed throughout the courtroom. Judge Maddow's brow furrowed in deep disapproval. A recess? On what grounds could this possibly be justified? "I must reevaluate my strategy," Musk declared, his voice heavy with resignation as the weight of the formidable evidence loomed over him. More whispers echoed in the shadows. Carl struggled to contain the victorious grin that threatened to break free. Judge Maddow scrutinized Musk's expression, tension hanging thick in the air. Was he truly conceding to the inevitable, or could this be a piece of a larger scheme that eluded her grasp? "Your Honor," Carl interjected, his voice cutting through the tension in the room, "this delay is unacceptable to us." Musk found himself with an abundance of time to meticulously craft his defense. "I understand," Musk said, his voice sharp and urgent. "But after yesterday's gripping testimony, I come to a harrowing realization. I may need professional assistance." Laughter echoed ominously through the gallery. Judge Maddow permitted herself a fleeting smile, a momentary crack in her otherwise stoic facade. At last he was confronting the undeniable truth. He needed a lawyer. "Though the urge to refuse your request surges within me, Mr. Musk," she declared, "I will concede to a one-day recess. But mark my words, do not squander our time when we reconvene tomorrow." "Thank you, Your Honor," Musk uttered, his head bowing slightly in a moment thick with anticipation. As the last echoes of footsteps faded from the courtroom, Carl made his way toward Musk, tension thick in the air. At last he inquired, "Have you come to understand that you are in over your head?" "Something like that," Musk replied, his voice laced with an unsettling gravity. Back at their temporary office, Sean paced with a sense of urgency, her heart racing as the weight of the moment pressed down on her. "I can't comprehend this," Why did you request a delay after we poured our hearts into preparing all night? Because, Musk explained, his fingers flew across the keyboard of his laptop with urgency, I desire them to be brimming with overconfidence. Haberman believes I've thrown in the towel. But what are we truly doing today? Sean insisted, her voice sharp and unwavering. Two things, Musk stated, his gaze fixed on the ground. First, we must see this through to the end. He thrust his finger toward the electronic device they had toiled over just hours before. And then, Musk finally raised his gaze, his expression grave. We are about to meet someone of great significance. As the clock ticked ominously, a woman burst into their office that afternoon. In her early 40s, she stood there, dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, a silent storm brewing beneath her composed exterior. Her eyes darted around, betraying a deep-seated anxiety. Ms. Nair, Musk's gaze locked onto her with intensity. Your presence is deeply appreciated. I'm putting everything on the line by being here, the woman said in a hushed tone. I understand, Musk responded. Yet, it is the only path that remains true. Sean's expression twisted in uncertainty, her brow furrowing as doubt clouded her mind. Who is she, really? Musk revealed the truth about Priya Nair. Until last week, she held the pivotal position of head of research and development at Magnetech. Sean's eyes grew wide with shock. Hold on, not Dr. Murphy? After I departed, Priya revealed, Murphy ascended to a new position. I found myself unable to remain after the chilling request Haberman made of us. For the next hour, Musk and Priya engaged in hushed conversation, their words laden with unspoken tension as Sean meticulously completed their electronic demonstration. As the shadows deepened, Musk radiated an air of unwavering confidence. Are you absolutely certain about this? Sean inquired, her voice laced with urgency as they hurriedly packed up. It's unconventional, even for you. Musk's smile was enigmatic, his eyes ablaze with the flickering light of the computer screen, hinting at the storm of thoughts brewing within. At times, the essence of innovation transcends mere technology. That's not an answer, Sean exclaimed, her frustration palpable. Trust me, Musk declared, his fingers snapping shut the laptop with a decisive finality. By this time tomorrow, Judge Maddow will face a reckoning that silences his laughter forever. That night, as Haberman and Carl reveled in their apparent triumph with lavish whiskey, Elon Musk was consumed by a singular focus, meticulously crafting a simple cardboard box that held the power to alter the course of everything the next day in court. Morning broke, charged with an electric anticipation that enveloped the courthouse. Whispers of Musk's requested recess echoed through the air, igniting a storm of speculation that he was on the brink of surrender. Reporters surged onto the steps, cameras poised, anticipation crackling in the air. Mr. Musk, have you secured the services of an attorney? Will you come to an agreement with Magnetech? Are you really going to abandon the case? Musk strode past them in silence, the cardboard box clutched tightly under his arm. Sean trailed closely, her expression a carefully crafted facade that concealed the turmoil brewing within her. Inside, the courtroom was teeming with anxious faces, each one brimming with anticipation. Maggie Haberman sat at the plaintiff's table, an air of tension surrounding him as he leaned in to whisper with Carl. As Musk stepped into the room, their gazes shot upward, fixated on the box that held an air of mystery and intrigue. What is he doing now? Haberman whispered under his breath, the weight of his words hanging in the air. His surrender terms, Carl replied, a smirk playing on his lips. As Judge Maddow strode in, a palpable tension filled the room, and every person rose to their feet, a collective breath held in anticipation. As she settled into her seat, a chill ran down her spine. Musk appeared altered today, an unsettling aura surrounding him. The fumbling, distracted demeanor had vanished, leaving only a stark intensity in its wake. Instead, he stood tall, his eyes sharp and unwavering, a storm brewing within. The courtroom fell silent as she declared, "Court is now in session." "Mr. Musk, just yesterday, you demanded a moment to reflect on your strategy. Have you made the crucial decision to seek legal counsel?" "No, Your Honor," Musk replied, his voice resonating with newfound intensity. "I will persist in representing myself." Judge Maddow let out a heavy sigh, the weight of the moment palpable in the air. "Indeed, it is settled. Are you prepared to unveil your defense?" "I am, Your Honor, but first I must summon a surprise witness to the stand." A tense murmur swept through the courtroom, thick with anticipation. Carl sprang to his feet, heart racing as the tension in the air thickened around him. "Hold it right there. We were given no warning of further witnesses." Judge Ikwe Maddow's brow furrowed in deep disapproval. "Mr. Musk, this is not a scripted performance. That is not how actual court proceedings unfold." "I understand, Your Honor," Musk replied, his voice steady yet charged with an undercurrent of tension. "Yet these are extraordinary circumstances. My witness emerged from the shadows just yesterday, compelled by the weight of Magnetech's testimony." Judge Maddow scrutinized Musk's expression, tension hanging thick in the air. Today he was not the same. An unsettling change hung in the air around him. A sudden surge of confidence, unfamiliar and electrifying, enveloped her. "This better be good," she warned, her voice laced with urgency. "Who is this mysterious witness?" "Priya Nair, once the formidable head of research and development at Magnetech, stands at the center of a storm of innovation and intrigue." The name reverberated through the Magnetech team, sending a jolt of disbelief and tension coursing through the room. Haberman's face drained of color. Carl rose once more, his facade beginning to unravel. "Hold it right there. Ms. Nair is ensnared in a web of secrecy, shackled by a confidentiality agreement with Magnetech. She is unable to testify regarding the company's affairs." Musk shot back, his voice laced with intensity. "That's not entirely accurate. Ms. Nair's agreement harbors exceptions for illegal activity, a critical point she is determined to confront." The room plunged into an oppressive silence. Judge Maddow leaned forward, his gaze piercing and unwavering. Her interest surged, battling against her own reservations. "Mr. Carl, your objection has been acknowledged, yet it stands overruled." With a sharp glance, she declared, "I will allow the witness," turning her full attention to Musk. "This had better be significant, Mr. Musk." "Indeed it is, Your Honor." "Thank you." The heavy door creaked open, and Priya Nair stepped inside, her heart racing with anticipation. Her heart raced, a storm of emotions swirling within her as she stepped forward, the weight of the moment pressing down. With a deep breath, she took the oath, her resolve hardening as she positioned herself in the witness stand, ready to confront the truth. "Ms. Nair," Musk began, his voice steady yet charged with an undercurrent of urgency. "What was your position at Magnetech until recently?" "I was head of research and development for 8 years, she replied, her voice unwavering, yet the weight of her words hung heavily in the air. "And why did you abandon me?" Priya inhaled sharply, her heart racing. "Last week I made the agonizing decision to resign, driven by deep ethical concerns surrounding the battery technology. At issue in this case." A tense murmur swept through the courtroom. Haberman leaned in close, his voice a frantic whisper as he spoke to Carl. "Can you delve deeper into those pressing concerns?" Musk inquired, his voice laced with urgency. Priya's voice cut through the air with a sharp clarity. "The technology was not developed by Magnetech. We received a directive to reverse engineer Mr. Musk's prototype following Mr. Haberman's unsettling visit to his facility." The courtroom exploded with chaos. Judge Maddow struck her gavel with fierce determination, each bang echoing through the tense courtroom. "Silence! All rise for the court's proceeding." As silence enveloped the room, Carl sprang to his feet, his face burning with fury. "Your Honor, these accusations are utterly unfounded. Where is the evidence that could change everything?" "An excellent question," Judge Maddow conceded, his gaze shifting sharply to Musk. Is there any evidence to back up this testimony? I do, Your Honor. Musk finally unveiled the enigmatic cardboard box, the air thick with anticipation. With a swift motion, he extracted a laptop and a small device from within. Misner, he pressed on. Did Mr. Haberman explicitly command your team to replicate my design? Indeed. Her response was resolute. Following his visit to your facility, he summoned an urgent meeting, the air thick with anticipation. He revealed the photos captured by his assistant, urgency lacing his voice as he commanded us to replicate the technology without delay. Haberman's face transformed from a ghostly pallor to a furious crimson. With a swift motion, he scrawled something down and forcefully slid it across the table to Carl. And what of Dr. Murphy, who stood before us and testified just yesterday? Musk inquired, his voice laced with urgency. After I dared to question the ethics of our actions, Alan was thrust into my position, a move that sent shockwaves through the office. Priya revealed that he was prepared to follow Haberman's plan, a decision that hung in the air, fraught with uncertainty. Carl rose once more, tension crackling in the air. Your Honor, this is nothing but hearsay and wild speculation. Could it possibly be? Musk inquired with a steady voice, the tension palpable in the air. With a swift motion, he linked his laptop to the courtroom's display system, the air thick with anticipation. With the court's permission, I stand ready to present crucial evidence that could alter the course of this case. Judge Maddow nodded, his attention sharpened, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Go ahead, Mr. Musk. The screen flickered to life, revealing the tense security footage from Musk's facility. It unmistakably revealed Haberman's assistant capturing images in forbidden zones, while Haberman himself was caught gazing through windows that had been strictly designated as off-limits. This proves nothing, Carl insisted, his voice rising with urgency. Gazing is not the same as thievery. Perhaps not, Musk conceded, a shadow of uncertainty crossing his face. Yet, this could prove to be far more compelling. With a swift click, he advanced to the next file, revealing a tense exchange of emails between Haberman and Priya, deliberating the intricate details of repurposing Musk's groundbreaking design. Carl fixed his gaze on the screen, his heart racing in disbelief. Where did you acquire those? Miss Nair delivered them, Musk revealed. Alongside these, the subsequent images unveiled a stark juxtaposition of internal components, revealing Musk's original designs alongside the unsettling replicas crafted by Magnetech. They were strikingly identical. Judge Maddow's expression had shifted dramatically. The skepticism vanished, giving way to an escalating shock as the evidence piled up, each revelation more staggering than the last. Your Honor, Musk declared, there's more at stake. Ms. Nair has revealed internal memos that starkly indicate Magnetech possessed no comparable technology in development prior to Haberman's fateful visit to my facility. Their entire claim is a web of deceit. Haberman's restraint shattered, his emotions boiling over. This is a setup, he shouted, rising from his chair, tension crackling in the air. This is unbelievable. Mr. Haberman, Judge Maddow warned, his voice low and steady. Control yourself or I will have you removed. The atmosphere in the courtroom had transformed into a charged battleground. In that moment, it was Carl who stood there, visibly flustered and utterly unprepared, while Musk exuded an unsettling calmness, radiating an air of complete control. Judge Maddow fixed his piercing gaze on Priya. Ms. Nair, do you grasp the gravity of your testimony? You're making a grave accusation against Magnetech, claiming they are involved in corporate espionage and fraud. I do, Priya replied, her voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of tension. That is precisely why I chose to resign. I could no longer bear to be a part of it. As the morning session dragged on, Judge Maddow's gaze fixated on Musk, her perception of him shifting dramatically. The clumsy, unfocused man from yesterday had vanished. In his place loomed a figure, sharp and calculating, who had seemingly orchestrated this very moment from the very start. Was it all just a performance? Had he intentionally presented himself as unprepared to ensnare Magnetech in a web of overconfidence? Regardless of the truth, one undeniable fact loomed large. Judge Rachel Maddow's laughter had vanished, leaving only a heavy silence in the air as she regarded Elon Musk. "Ms. Nair," Musk pressed, "could you recount for the court the events that unfolded after Mr. Haberman came back from his visit to my facility?" Priya Nair sat rigidly in the witness chair, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. For nearly a decade, she had stood as Magnetech's shining beacon of scientific brilliance. At that moment, she had become their ultimate terror. "That very afternoon," she began, "Mr. Haberman summoned an emergency meeting. He was filled with an overwhelming surge of excitement. He revealed to us the clandestine photos captured by his assistant during the tour, his voice laced with urgency as he declared he had uncovered a treasure trove of ideas." In the plaintiff's section, Haberman's face twisted into a shadow of fury. He hastily scrawled a note, urgency pulsing through his fingers as he slid it to Carl, who responded with a subtle shake of his head, a silent refusal that hung heavy in the air. "Did he explicitly reference my energy storage technology?" Musk inquired, his voice laced with urgency. "Indeed, his fascination with the nano-coating was palpable. He declared it was the crucial element that would enable batteries to retain more power for extended durations." "And what did he demand of your team?" "He commanded us to abandon all else, to fixate solely on replicating the vision he had witnessed." His exact words echoed with urgency. "I want this technology before Musk can patent it." A hushed whisper coursed through the courtroom, thick with anticipation. Judge Maddow leaned forward, his eyes locked onto the witness, every word hanging in the air like a loaded gun. What unfolded was a shocking twist, completely shattering her expectations from the very start of the day. "Did you voice any apprehensions regarding this directive?" Musk pressed on, his words hanging in the air with an intensity that demanded attention. Priya nodded, her heart racing as the weight of the moment settled around her. "I confronted Mr. Haberman, asserting that his proposal reeked of corporate espionage. I proposed that we seek a genuine partnership instead. And how did he react? He declared, and I quote, 'Why pay for what we can seize without cost?'" A sudden wave of tension surged through the gallery. Haberman's face burned with fury, a storm brewing within him. "That's a lie," he shouted, his voice trembling with barely contained fury. "She's weaving a tale of deception." "Mr. Haberman," Judge Maddow warned, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "One more outburst, and I will have you forcibly ejected from my courtroom." Musk stood resolute, an unwavering figure amidst the swirling chaos around him. "Ms. Nair, do you possess any evidence that could substantiate your testimony?" "Indeed," she responded. "I meticulously documented every detail from our meetings. I meticulously preserved every email and text message containing those chilling directives. Your Honor, Musk spoke to the judge with intensity. I hereby request to submit these documents into evidence." With a swift motion, he thrust the folder into the hands of the court clerk, who, with a sense of urgency, delivered it to Judge Maddow. As she opened it, a palpable weight filled the air, her expression darkening with each page she turned, tension mounting with every word she absorbed. Carl, against all odds, mustered the strength to rise to his feet. "Your Honor, these documents must not be allowed as evidence. They hold confidential Magnetech information that Ms. Nair had no authority to take from the company." In a striking rebuttal, Musk asserted that, as outlined in Magnetech's very own employment contract, now included in that folder, employees are not only shielded but also compelled to disclose any potential illegal activities. Ms. Nair stood resolute, firmly within the bounds of her rights. Judge Maddow's head moved in a slow, deliberate nod, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. "I find myself in alignment with Mr. Musk on this matter. The documents have been admitted." Carl collapsed into the chair, his expression one of disbelief. Haberman leaned in, his voice a frantic whisper. Urgency etched across his face as he spoke to one of his assistants, who darted from the courtroom in haste. "How tragic it is, Nair," Musk continued. "What transpired after you voiced these concerns? I found myself increasingly pushed to the margins. Tasks were ominously reassigned. Then, 2 weeks ago, Alan Murphy ascended to my position and I found myself thrust into a different department. Were you taken aback by that?" "Absolutely not." I had begun my search for a new job, driven by the unbearable weight of my conscience that made it impossible to remain at Magnetech. As soon as they transferred me, I made the decision to resign without hesitation. "One last question," Musk declared, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. "Was there any trace of Magnetech's energy storage technology in development prior to Haberman's fateful visit to my facility?" "No," Priya declared with unwavering resolve. "We were entrenched in our own divergent paths, each step a stark contrast to the other. Our research remains shrouded in uncertainty, still 2 years distant from even approaching your design." "Thank you, Ms. Nair." Musk faced the judge, a storm brewing in the air. "Your Honor, I must insist on presenting one final piece of evidence before Mr. Carl has the opportunity to cross-examine the witness." Judge Thornwall's head moved in a slow, deliberate nod, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. "Move forward." Musk set his small electronic device down on the evidence, the air thick with anticipation. The table loomed ominously in the dim light, its surface marred by the weight of untold stories and secrets waiting to be uncovered. "This is a demonstration unit I crafted to reveal the shocking truth. Magnetech's so-called original design is nothing more than a replica of my own work." He activated the device, and a holographic display sprang to life, revealing the intricate designs unfolding layer by layer before his eyes. With each component that emerged, the undeniable truth of the technology's identical nature loomed larger, casting a shadow over all that had come before. "As you can see," Musk revealed, "the internal arrangement of components is strikingly identical. The likelihood of 2 teams independently crafting designs so strikingly alike is virtually non-existent." The courtroom was enveloped in an oppressive silence. The evidence loomed large, casting a shadow that could not be ignored. "Your Honor," Carl declared, standing once more, "we urgently request a brief recess to confer with our client." Judge Thornwall's gaze flicked to her watch, tension crackling in the air. "We will pause for lunch. The court is set to reconvene at 1 o'clock, a moment that hangs in the air with palpable anticipation." As the gallery thinned, Sean darted to Musk's side, urgency pulsing in the air. "That was incredible," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Did you witness the expression on Haberman's face?" Musk's slight nod was a mere flicker, his expression a mask of calmness that belied the storm brewing beneath the surface. "The battle is far from over." In the hallway, reporters surged like a tidal wave around both parties, their cameras flashing and voices rising in a cacophony of urgency. Carl forged ahead, silence enveloping him like a shroud. Haberman is closing in. Behind him loomed a security guard, a formidable barrier against the prying eyes of the cameras. "Mr. Musk!" A voice pierced through the air, demanding attention. "Was your bewildering performance yesterday merely a charade?" Musk's smile was enigmatic, a fleeting moment that held the weight of unspoken intentions. Silence reigns. In a dimly lit conference room, Carl locked eyes with Haberman, tension crackling in the air between them as they sat across the table. "This is dire, Maggie, utterly devastating." "She's lying," Haberman insisted, his footsteps echoing in the tense silence of the room. "It's a battle of words, a clash of truths, and the stakes have never been higher. It's her word, backed by a mountain of emails, texts, and documents, standing in stark contrast to yours," Carl corrected him, the weight of the situation hanging heavily in the air. "The undeniable visual proof of the replicated technology looms large." This must be resolved immediately. No, I refuse to grant him that satisfaction. You may find yourself with no options, Carl cautioned ominously. If this persists, we are facing far more than just the loss of a patent case. This situation has the potential to escalate into a criminal matter. Haberman halted his restless pacing. What are you implying? What I'm declaring is that corporate espionage is a grave crime, perjury, a grave offense, was committed by you yesterday as you attempted to downplay your meeting with Musk. Haberman's face drained of color. You are my lawyer. Resolve this issue immediately. I'm attempting to, Carl responded with a somber intensity. But you must confront the truth head-on. Musk has outmaneuvered us all. In a dimly lit conference room, Judge Maddow sat in solitude, his eyes scanning the morning's evidence with a heavy heart, the weight of the decisions ahead pressing down on him. 3 decades on the bench had sharpened her instincts to detect deceit, and Priya Nayar stood resolute, unwavering in her truth. The emails and documents aligned with her testimony in a strikingly precise manner. The judge stood at a crossroads, her mind racing as she re-evaluated Elon Musk, the weight of her decision pressing heavily upon her. She had cast him aside as nothing more than an arrogant amateur, yet now a chilling doubt crept into her mind. Had she been the true amateur all along? His strategy, feigning unpreparedness while secretly amassing devastating evidence, was nothing short of brilliant. As the court reconvened, an electric atmosphere filled the room, thick with anticipation. Carl moved closer to Musk, the air thick with anticipation, just moments before the judge was set to arrive. My client is prepared to engage in a conversation about settlement terms, he whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence. Musk's voice was firm, cutting through the air with an intensity that left no room for doubt. I'm not interested in settling. Do not let your pride blind you. We have the power to make this disappear without a sound. That is not the reason for my presence. Just as Carl opened his mouth to speak, Judge Maddow burst into the room, commanding the attention of all present as they rose to their feet. Before we proceed, she declared, I must clarify something crucial. Ms. Nayar, your testimony raises alarming implications that extend beyond mere patent infringement, hinting at the possibility of criminal activity lurking in the shadows. Do you grasp the gravity of these allegations? I do, Priya replied, her voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of tension. That is precisely why I chose to resign from my position and step into the light. It was the only choice left to make. Judge Maddow's head moved in a slow, deliberate nod, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. Mr. Carl, the moment has come for you to confront the witness. Proceed with your cross-examination. Carl approached the stand, the weight of uncertainty heavy upon him, his earlier confidence shattered. Nayar, can you confirm that you were overlooked for promotion multiple times at Magnetech? No, she replied with an unsettling calmness. Twice I stood at the precipice of advancement. Promotions dangled before me like a tantalizing mirage, yet I chose to turn them down, clinging fiercely to my passion for research. And you're not seething over Mr. Murphy's promotion? A wave of relief washed over me. It signified that I was free from the weight of a project that had tainted my integrity. Carl explored every possible angle, yet Priya stood resolute, unwavering in her stance. Her testimony pierced through the silence, unwavering and unforgiving. As Carl finally took his seat, all eyes shifted to Judge Maddow, who now faced Musk with an intensity that filled the room. Are there any additional witnesses you can present, Mr. Musk? Absolutely not, Your Honor. Ms. Nayar's testimony and the evidence I have laid bare demand attention and cannot be ignored. Judge Maddow's brow furrowed as he considered the weight of the moment. Indeed, they most certainly do. As the afternoon session dragged on, a palpable tension filled the air, and one undeniable truth emerged for all present in the courtroom. Elon Musk had not merely prepared for this case, he had meticulously orchestrated every detail, anticipating every possible outcome. He had meticulously orchestrated every moment of it, and his plans were far from complete. "Your Honor," Musk declared, standing abruptly, "I must now present the legal remedy I am pursuing." Judge Maddow's head moved slightly, a silent acknowledgement that hung heavy in the air. "Go ahead, Mr. Musk." Musk strode to the center of the courtroom, a stark contrast to the uncertain figure he had been on the first day. He advanced with determination, his voice resonating with clarity and unwavering confidence. "Given the weight of the evidence laid bare before us, I am not merely requesting the invalidation of Magnetech's patent. I am urgently seeking a particular legal remedy as specified in the Technological Innovation Protection Act of 2018. A look of confusion etched itself onto Carl's face, tension crackling in the air. Judge Opry II Maddow seemed to harbor a deep curiosity. Section 47B of that act, Musk declared, asserts that in instances where corporate espionage is established, the court holds the power to issue an order that bars the offending party from creating similar technology for a staggering 5 years. A heavy silence enveloped the courtroom. Even Judge Maddow seemed momentarily stunned. "Mr. Musk," she said, leaning forward, a sense of urgency in her voice, "I'm well versed in technology patent law, yet that particular provision eludes my memory." "It is shrouded in obscurity, Your Honor," Musk conceded. "It was thrust into the spotlight as an amendment during the bill's climactic final passage. Only a handful of cases have dared to invoke it." With a swift motion, he thrust the document into the hands of the court clerk, who, with a sense of urgency, relayed it to the judge. She scrutinized it intently, her eyebrows arching in a mix of surprise and concern. "He's right," she whispered, her voice barely escaping her lips. Carl sprang to his feet, heart racing, as the tension in the air thickened around him. "Your Honor, this is utterly outrageous. Such a remedy would decisively shut Magnetech out of an entire market segment." "That's exactly the crux of the matter," Musk replied with an unsettling calmness. "The law was crafted to impose grave repercussions for corporate espionage. Otherwise, companies would recklessly regard legal penalties as just another expense in their relentless pursuit of profit." Judge Maddow's head moved ever so slightly, a subtle acknowledgement as she meticulously scanned the statute, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. She admitted, her voice trembling, that the language was unmistakably clear. In instances where corporate espionage tied to technological innovation is irrefutably established, the court holds the power to impose a development prohibition order. Haberman leaned in close, his voice a frantic whisper, as Carl's expression twisted with growing anxiety. "Your Honor," Carl declared, "we urgently require time to scrutinize this statute and formulate a response." "That seems reasonable," Judge Maddow conceded, a heavy silence hanging in the air. "We will pause our proceedings for today, but the weight of our discussions will linger as we prepare to gather once more at dawn's first light." She pivoted sharply to face Musk. "I must admit, Mr. Musk, your grasp of patent law leaves me in awe." "Thank you, Your Honor," Musk responded, a fleeting smile flickering across his face. "I have been immersed in my studies." As the courtroom started to clear, Carl moved towards Musk once more, his demeanor shifting to one of desperation. "Show some sense, Musk. A 5-year ban would plunge Magnetech's energy division into chaos. You should have considered the consequences before you dared to steal my technology," Musk replied, his voice steady yet charged with intensity. In the gallery, Sean's heart raced as she watched the exchange, her eyes wide with anticipation. As Musk approached her, a wave of disbelief washed over her, leaving her utterly speechless. "What led you to discover that law?" she whispered, her voice barely audible as they stepped out of the courtroom, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. "I've never encountered it before." Musk revealed that the majority of lawyers have not either. "For weeks, I delved into the labyrinth of obscure patent statutes, each moment steeped in uncertainty and anticipation. In that moment of discovery, a surge of certainty coursed through me. This was it, the one I had been searching for. Outside the courthouse, reporters surged around them like a relentless tide, their cameras flashing and questions piercing the air with urgency. "Mr. Musk, is it true that you are demanding a ban on Magnetech from the energy storage market? Was your bewildering performance merely a tactic to throw them into disarray?" "No comment," Musk repeated, his voice cutting through the chaos as he maneuvered through the throng of people. Back at their temporary office, Sean's excitement surged, a palpable force that filled the air with anticipation. "Your performance was nothing short of extraordinary in that moment." Haberman's face drained of color, his eyes wide with shock, as the weight of that law hung in the air, threatening to crush him under its gravity. Musk permitted a fleeting smile to cross his lips, a momentary flicker of emotion in the charged atmosphere. "The case hangs in the balance, but Sean insisted, it's shifting in our favor now. Judge Maddow stands firmly in your corner. She is fulfilling her duty," Musk asserted with a sharp edge to his voice. "Judges remain impartial, standing resolutely in the eye of the storm. They adhere to the law, a truth you grasp more profoundly than Magnetech's costly attorneys." Sean chuckled, a hint of defiance in her voice. Musk's phone vibrated ominously, a text message demanding his attention. He read it, and a shadow fell across his face. "What could it possibly be?" Sean demanded. "Haberman's people have been relentlessly pursuing Pioneer," Musk revealed, issuing threats that hang ominously in the air. "That is a chilling act of witness intimidation. We must inform the judge." "Tomorrow," Musk assured her, "we will." Meanwhile, within the confines of Magnetech's legal offices, Haberman was unleashing his fury upon his legal team. "How could you possibly be unaware of this law?" he demanded, his footsteps echoing in the tense silence of the conference room. "I invest millions for precisely this type of information." Carl stood resolute, a picture of composure in the face of the onslaught. "It's a hidden clause, shrouded in mystery, seldom brought to light. The question now looms, how will one respond?" "We fight it!" Haberman snapped, his voice sharp and filled with urgency. "Not sure that's wise," Carl warned, his voice laced with urgency. "The evidence looming over us is overwhelming. Are you really just going to throw in the towel?" "I am facing the truth head-on. Musk has deftly outmaneuvered us at every turn. Initially, he feigned incompetence, a calculated move to let our defenses down. Then he unveiled a star witness, someone we never saw coming. Now he has uncovered a legal angle that threatens to devastate our business." Haberman fell into a chair, the weight of their dire circumstances crashing down upon him. "What choices lie before us?" "We could settle," Carl proposed, a weighty silence hanging in the air. "Extend to Musk a significant sum and a heartfelt apology." "Never," Haberman hissed, his voice laced with fury. "I refuse to grant him that satisfaction." "Then our only option is to strike at the witness," Carl declared, his voice heavy with foreboding. "Undermine Priya Nair, insinuate that she pilfered the documents for her own benefit, hint at a collaboration with Musk. Will that truly work?" Carl let out a heavy sigh, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "It seems unlikely, yet this is all that remains for us." The following morning, the courtroom swelled with an even greater throng than before. The shocking news of the unusual legal maneuver rippled through the night, drawing technology reporters from every corner of the globe into the packed gallery, their anticipation palpable. Judge Maddow's gavel struck the air, commanding the court into a tense silence. "Before we proceed, I have meticulously examined the statute that Mr. Musk referenced yesterday. It is undeniably relevant to this case, contingent upon whether the evidence of corporate espionage fulfills the stringent legal criteria." She spun around to face Carl, her heart racing. "Counsel, do you dare to respond to Mr. Musk's urgent plea for a development prohibition order?" Carl rose to his feet. "Indeed, Your Honor, we cast doubt upon the credibility of Miss Nair's testimony and question the authenticity of the documents she has presented. On what grounds could this possibly be justified? It is our conviction that Ms. Nair might have manipulated these documents following her departure from Magnetech, potentially in cahoots with Mr. Musk. Judge Maddow's brow furrowed deeply, a storm brewing in his eyes. That is a grave accusation. Is there any proof to back it up? Carl asserted with urgency that they are ready to unveil a technical analysis indicating the documents have been altered not long ago. Musk rose with an unsettling calmness, the air thick with anticipation. Your Honor, I foresaw this assault on Ms. Nair's integrity. That is precisely why I took the critical step of having the original electronic documents scrutinized by an independent forensic expert. With a swift motion, he thrust another file into the hands of the court clerk. This report unequivocally asserts that the documents are authentic and untouched. Furthermore, I must urgently bring to the court's attention that Ms. Nair has been subjected to menacing phone calls from Magnetech representatives following her testimony yesterday. Judge Maddow's expression turned ominous. Is that truly the case? Mr. Carl, is your client fully aware that witness intimidation carries grave consequences? Carl turned ashen. Your Honor, if those calls were indeed made, they were executed without the consent of Magnetech's management or legal team. Judge Maddow's skepticism was palpable, his doubt hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. As the morning unfolded, she observed Musk with an intensifying sense of awe. The man who had faltered through opening statement just 2 days prior now stood poised, articulating intricate legal arguments with an intensity that demanded attention. She felt an involuntary nod escape her lips, caught off guard by the weight of his reasoning, her admiration bubbling beneath the surface. And she was far from alone. Even some of Magnetech's junior attorneys were observing him with an intensity that revealed their unmasked admiration. In the gallery, Maggie Haberman tugged at his collar, a wave of anxiety washing over him. The once confident CEO, who had anticipated a smooth triumph, now found himself ensnared in a legal catastrophe of his own design. Your Honor, Carl implored, desperation lacing his voice as he made one final bid to save their case. We urgently seek permission to present a technical expert who will assert that Magnetech's design, though reminiscent of Musk's, harbors crucial distinctions. Judge Maddow weighed this heavy thought. Very well, I concede. Summon your witness now. A tall man, his neat beard framing a face of intensity, approached the stand, his glasses glinting ominously in the light. With a solemn air, he stepped forward, declaring himself as Dr. Marcus Whitfield, the Chief Technical Officer at Cambridge Energy Systems, a title that carried the weight of responsibility and expectation. Dr. Whitfield, Carl began, the weight of your examination looms over both companies' battery designs. In your expert opinion, is it even conceivable that Magnetech could have forged their technology without external influence? Indeed, Dr. Whitfield responded with unwavering certainty. Though the overall approach bears resemblance, I observed a series of strikingly distinct engineering choices in Magnetech's implementation. Could you elaborate? Carl asked, his expression shifting from uncertainty to a flicker of hope. Absolutely. The configuration of the cooling system, for instance, employs a strikingly different arrangement of channels, while the casing material is infused with proprietary compounds that are conspicuously absent in Mr. Musk's design. Judge Maddow's ears were attuned to every whisper in the room. Their previous bias has been cast aside, now replaced by a calculated neutrality that hangs in the air, thick with unspoken tension. With bated breath, she meticulously recorded every detail as Dr. Whitfield unveiled the diagrams, each one illuminating the stark contrasts that lay before them. So, in your expert assessment, Carl concluded, these designs might have emerged in isolation? It is indeed possible, Dr. Whitfield conceded, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. In the realm of engineering, it is often the case that the shadows of similar problems loom large, guiding us toward the echoes of familiar solutions. Thank you, Doctor. Carl spun around to face Musk, tension crackling in the air. Your witness stands at the precipice of truth. The atmosphere in the courtroom crackled with anticipation as Musk made his way to the stand. Rather than launching a direct assault on Dr. Whitfield, Musk offered a seemingly innocent smile. Dr. Whitfield, what groundbreaking innovation drives the unparalleled efficiency of these battery designs? The nano-coating on the electrode surfaces, the expert replied, his voice steady yet charged with urgency. Is it true that this coating is applied in multiple distinct layers? Indeed, that is correct, Musk nodded, a silent acknowledgement that hung heavy in the air. Can you reveal the exact order of these layers? Whitfield's expression betrayed a flicker of unease. Both designs rely on a graphene base layer, which is then enveloped by a titanium composite, culminating in a proprietary ceramic material that adds an air of mystery and innovation. Are the materials truly identical and proprietary? Musk inquired with an air of feigned innocence. Indeed, it is astonishingly alike. What are the chances that two companies working in isolation could create identical proprietary materials with the same layering sequences? The improbability looms large, casting a shadow of doubt over the very fabric of innovation. Dr. Whitfield shifted uneasily in his seat, a storm of thoughts brewing within him. The odds are stacked against it. Musk pressed on with his strategy, posing what appeared to be harmless technical inquiries that slowly ensnared Dr. Whitfield, forcing him to unravel his own statements. With every response, the expert appeared more and more ensnared, as if the walls were closing in around them. Let me be clear, Doctor, Musk finally declared. The differences in the cooling system and casing you brought up, aren't they just superficial alterations that leave the core technology untouched? After a prolonged silence, Dr. Whitfield let out a heavy sigh. Indeed, the core innovation, the nano-coating, stands strikingly similar in both designs, a revelation that could alter everything. From the plaintiff's table, Haberman fixed a piercing glare on their expert witness, tension crackling in the air. No further questions, Musk declared, a palpable tension hanging in the air as he returned to his seat. As Dr. Whitfield relinquished his position, Carl advanced toward the bench, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Your Honor, we urgently request that Mr. Haberman be summoned to testify in person. Judge Maddow's head moved in a slow, deliberate nod, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. With a determined stride, Haberman approached the stand, adjusting his costly tie with a sense of purpose. After being sworn in, he exuded an air of confidence, a stark contrast to the tremors of anxiety that had gripped him moments before. Mr. Thorne, Haberman, Carl began, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. Did you command your team to replicate Mr. Musk's technology? Absolutely not, Haberman declared with unwavering intensity. I stepped into his facility, my heart racing at the prospect of becoming a potential partner. When that plan fell apart, I commanded our research team to forge ahead with their relentless pursuit of energy storage solutions. Was Magnetech already on the brink of developing similar technology? Indeed, we had been delving into the complexities of advanced battery designs for years, each moment steeped in anticipation and uncertainty. The timing of our breakthrough, mere moments after my visit to Musk Innovations, was nothing short of a dramatic twist of fate. Carl nodded, a weighty silence hanging in the air. Ms. Nier asserts that you displayed images from your visit and explicitly instructed the team to replicate Mr. Musk's design. What is your response? That's utterly untrue, Haberman declared, his voice rising with intensity. Ms. Nier, once a dedicated employee, spiraled into discontent, her frustration boiling over after the crushing blow of being overlooked for promotion. These accusations serve as her weapon of vengeance. Judge Maddow's gaze bore into Haberman, every word he spoke dripping with an unsettling confidence that hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. He stood before them, a meticulously crafted witness, every word sharpened by the relentless preparation of his legal team. No further questions, Carl declared, his voice heavy with finality as he sank into the chair. The air thickened with anticipation as Musk faced the relentless scrutiny of cross-examination. He approached Haberman with deliberate slowness, a calm facade masking the storm within. "Mr. Haberman, you claimed under oath that Magnetech was already in the throes of developing similar technology prior to your arrival at my facility. Is that truly correct?" "Indeed," Haberman responded, with unwavering conviction. "Can you unveil the fundamental tenets of your prior research?" Haberman paused, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. "We found ourselves delving into the intricate world of nano-coatings for battery electrodes, each discovery more thrilling than the last. Can you provide more details about the composition of these coatings?" "I'm not a technical person," Haberman insisted, his voice laced with urgency. "I depend on my research team for those crucial details." "Yet you are the CEO who approved the patent application," Musk emphasized. "Did you truly grasp the weight of what you were patenting?" Haberman's confidence started to shatter, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. "In broad strokes, indeed." Musk veered off course in an instant. "As you stepped into my facility, did you capture any moments with your camera?" "Absolutely not." "Was there anyone in your team who captured the moment with photos?" "I am not aware of that." Musk nodded, a storm of contemplation brewing within him. "I understand." He strode to his table, tension crackling in the air, and seized the folder with a sense of urgency. "Your Honor, I respectfully request to submit this security footage as critical evidence." He played a clip that unmistakably revealed Haberman's assistant capturing images of forbidden zones. "Perhaps your memory requires a stark reminder," Musk insinuated with a chilling calmness. Haberman's face burned with a sudden rush of heat. "I had no idea my assistant was capturing images." "Is that truly the case?" In this next clip, you will witness the intensity as you lock eyes with her while she carries out the act. The courtroom held its breath as the incriminating footage unfolded before their eyes. Musk pressed on with relentless precision, each question tightening the noose around Haberman, leaving him with nowhere to escape. With every response, the CEO found himself entangled in contradictions, either undermining his earlier statements or clashing with the documented evidence laid bare before him. At last, Musk unleashed his brilliant maneuver. "Mr. Haberman, do you recognize this notebook?" He raised a small leather-bound journal, its presence heavy with unspoken secrets. Haberman's eyes flared with a sudden intense realization. "Where on earth did you get that?" "It was Ms. Nair who delivered it. This is your personal notebook, isn't it?" "Indeed, but it was taken from my office." In a surprising turn of events, Musk made a correction. "Ms. Nair received the urgent directive to clear out your office following a catastrophic water leak. This was one of the crucial items she was ordered to salvage." Musk flipped open the notebook, revealing a page that had been deliberately marked. "Could you please take a moment to read this entry, penned the very day after your visit to my facility?" Haberman stood in silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. "If you prefer, I can read it," Musk offered, his voice steady yet charged with an unspoken intensity. He pivoted sharply to face the judge. "Your Honor, may I proceed?" Judge Maddow nodded, his focus unwavering as the tension in the room thickened. "Today, I witnessed Musk unveil his groundbreaking battery technology, his voice echoing with intensity as he read aloud, "A groundbreaking nano-coating that could change everything. We must race against time to finalize our version before he secures the patent. Task Priya's team with the urgent mission of reverse engineering ASAP." The courtroom crackled with charged whispers, each word heavy with anticipation. Haberman's face had turned ghostly white. "No further questions," Musk declared, his voice barely above a whisper, yet heavy with finality. The courtroom hung in a heavy silence as Haberman made his way back to his seat, his shoulders drooping in a palpable sense of defeat. Judge Maddow's eyes flicked to her watch, a palpable tension hanging in the air. "We will take a 15-minute recess," she declared, her voice echoing with authority. "On our return, I demand the presence of both parties in my chambers." As the crowd surged toward the exit, reporters scrambled to capture every fleeting moment, desperate to deliver the latest updates. The story erupted overnight, with technology news sites frantically updating live blogs as the proceedings unfolded. Musk's legal prowess leaves the courtroom in awe. Scan the room, where a headline pulses through the air, already igniting whispers and tension among those gathered. In the dimly lit hallway, Carl suddenly confronted Haberman, the air thick with tension. "This is a disaster," he hissed, his voice laced with urgency. "We must reach a resolution at once." "It's too late for that," Haberman hissed, yanking at his tie with a sense of urgency. "He's out for vengeance." Within the confines of her chambers, Judge Maddow sat poised behind her desk, the weight of the world pressing down upon her. She stood at her desk, her fingers trembling as she removed her glasses, rubbing the bridge of her nose with a sense of urgency. After 30 years on the bench, she found herself grappling with the shocking reality of a case that had turned completely on its head. As both parties stepped into the room, she pointed sharply to the chairs positioned before her desk, an unspoken tension hanging in the air. "Take a seat, if you dare." Musk and Carl took their seats, the air thick with anticipation. Haberman stood frozen, a storm of emotions raging within him, unable to find his footing. "I've summoned you here because this case has taken an extraordinary turn," Judge Maddow began, his voice heavy with gravity. "Mr. Carl, in light of the compelling evidence laid before us, I must insist." Your client weighs the heavy burden of settlement options, and Carl nodded with a somber resolve. "We stand ready to engage in a discussion of terms, Your Honor." "I'm not," Haberman interrupted, his voice sharp and unwavering. "This battle is far from finished." Judge Maddow's piercing gaze bore down on him, unyielding and intense. "Mr. Haberman, you must grasp the gravity of your situation. The weight of the evidence stacked against you is insurmountable. If I decide against Magnetech, a scenario that grows more probable by the moment, you will confront not just the forfeiture of the patent, but also a devastating 5-year exclusion from the market. Moreover, this could ignite a series of criminal investigations." Haberman's face drained of color, yet he stood resolute, unyielding in the face of adversity. "There exist courts of appeal." "Indeed," the judge concurred, "and there is a prevailing tendency to yield to the trial court's determinations of fact. The evidence is overwhelmingly incriminating." She turned to Musk. "Mr. Musk, are you willing to engage in settlement discussions?" Musk paused, the weight of the decision hanging in the air. "I arrived here seeking justice, not wealth." "The 5-year development ban is non-negotiable," Haberman exclaimed, his frustration palpable. "That is utterly unacceptable." "What is utterly outrageous," Musk retorted with a steely calm, "is the act of pilfering another's creation and then turning around to file a lawsuit against them for it." Judge Maddow leaned back in her chair, her gaze fixed on Musk, a flicker of newfound respect igniting within her. The air thickened with unspoken tension as the weight of the moment settled around them. In that moment, she took an action that no one saw coming. "Mr. Musk," she said, her voice trembling with an intensity that filled the air, "I must confront the weight of my actions and extend my sincerest apologies." Every eye in the room widened in disbelief, including Musk's. "I made assumptions about you when this trial began," she continued, her voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of tension. "I believed you were filled with arrogance and utterly unprepared. I acknowledge my mistakes, and I realize my conduct was utterly unprofessional. Your case has been laid out with a depth and intensity that surpasses that of most lawyers I've encountered." Musk's gaze hardened as he acknowledged her apology with a curt nod. "Thank you, Your Honor." The judge paused, a heavy silence hanging in the air, before finally saying, "I feel I must clarify something." Her eyes darted toward Haberman and Carl, a storm of uncertainty brewing within her. "Would you gentlemen grant us a moment alone?" Once they departed, Judge Maddow stood, her heart racing as she approached the window, gazing out at the looming city skyline. 4 years ago, my son worked for Solar Tech Industries, she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken truths. When your company seized control, he found himself cast aside in the turmoil of restructuring. He fought against the shadows for months that followed. Musk's eyes flared with a sudden realization. I recall that acquisition vividly. We were forced to make the difficult decision to eliminate redundant positions. I know, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. It was a decision driven by the cold calculations of business, devoid of any personal sentiment. Yet, as a mother, she resolutely shook her head. I let it taint my first impression of you. I realize now how deeply I erred. I understand, Musk declared, his voice heavy with implication. Business decisions have profound consequences for real lives. I struggle to hold on to that memory, Judge. Maddow pivoted sharply, his gaze locking onto him with an intensity that sent a chill down his spine. Your legal strategy was nothing short of genius, the way you feigned unpreparedness to catch them off guard. I've never witnessed anything quite like this. Sometimes innovative thinking extends far beyond the realm of technology, Musk said, a faint smile playing on his lips, as if hinting at deeper truths lurking beneath the surface. A sudden knock at the door shattered the silence, sending a jolt of tension through the room. The clerk cautiously poked her head in, her eyes darting around the room as if sensing an unseen tension in the air. Judge, Mr. Haberman urgently requests a private audience with Mr. Musk. Judge Maddow's eyebrows shot up, a silent storm brewing in his gaze. That is quite extraordinary, Musk nodded, a storm brewing in his eyes. I'll hear what he has to say. As Haberman stepped inside, a palpable shift enveloped him, his entire demeanor transformed in an instant. The arrogant CEO had vanished, leaving behind an unsettling silence. Now he appeared as if he were on the brink of despair. Musk, he declared with a sharp intensity. Name your price, anything you desire. Simply lift the 5-year ban. It's not about money, Musk shot back, his voice laced with intensity. Haberman's voice cut through the air, a chilling certainty lacing his words. Everyone has a price. 10 million? 20? The ban remains in place, Musk declared with unwavering resolve. Your company attempted to seize the fruits of my team's labor, years in the making. There will be repercussions for that. Haberman's expression shifted into a shadow of despair. You're reveling in this moment, are you? Are you reveling in my discomfort? No, Musk responded with unwavering sincerity. I would have chosen a contest defined by fairness, where each of us could shine through our own innovation. Judge Maddow observed the exchange, his gaze sharp and unwavering as tension hung thick in the air. Two formidable figures stood before each other, yet only one emerged unscathed, his integrity shining through the shadows of ambition. Gentlemen, she finally declared, I believe we've exhausted every word that must be uttered in this moment. Let us return to the courtroom and bring this matter to a dramatic conclusion. As they filed out, Haberman unleashed a final desperate plea that hung in the air like a storm cloud, charged with urgency. Musk, consider the gravity of the situation. Yet Musk had already forged ahead. His mind was razor-sharp, fixated on the uncertain future that loomed ominously beyond this case. He grasped what he desired, justice and protection for his company's groundbreaking innovations, but the shadows of uncertainty loomed ever closer. As they re-entered the courtroom, an oppressive hush enveloped the gallery, thick with anticipation. Sean's gaze pierced through the crowd, locking onto Musk as she raised her eyebrows, a silent question hanging in the air, charged with anticipation. He offered her a slight nod, and in that fleeting moment her smile broke through, a wave of relief washing over her. With a heavy silence hanging in the air, Judge Maddow declared, I am ready to deliver my ruling on this matter following the final statements. Mr. Carl, Mr. Musk, the moment has arrived for you to present your closing arguments. The air is thick with anticipation. As Carl shuffled his papers with trembling hands, a storm of anxiety brewing within him, Musk remained an unyielding figure, his notes arranged with meticulous precision, exuding an air of unshakable confidence. The outcome hung in the air, a heavy certainty that could not be ignored. He had triumphed. "Mr. Carl, the moment has come for your closing statement," Judge Maddow commanded, the weight of the courtroom hanging in the air. Carl stood, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him, his earlier confidence shattered. "Your Honor, despite the alarming evidence put forth by Mr. Musk, we firmly assert that Magnetech forged its technological advancements through entirely legitimate channels. Ms. Neyer's testimony demands a critical eye, especially in light of her tumultuous exit from the company." He pressed on for several more minutes, his arguments faltering, lacking the strength to persuade even himself. Haberman sat with his head bowed, a shadow of the proud CEO who had confidently entered the courtroom just days before. "Thank you, Mr. Carl," Judge Maddow declared, his voice echoing in the tense silence that followed his words. Mr. Musk, with a determined stride, approached the bench. In stark contrast to his awkward debut, he now loomed with an imposing presence, his voice resonating with clarity and precision. "Your Honor, the evidence stands as a testament to the truth. The CEO of Magnetech infiltrated my facility, stealthily capturing images of our proprietary technology, and commanded his team to replicate it. Documents and witnesses of their own accord stand as undeniable proof of this truth. Justice demands more than merely nullifying their deceitful patent. It calls for the enforcement of a 5-year development ban to guarantee that corporate espionage faces significant repercussions. Brief, straightforward, and utterly crushing." Musk settled back into his seat, the air thick with whispers that rippled through the courtroom. Judge Maddow's head moved slightly, a silent acknowledgement that hung heavy in the air. "Now I shall deliver my ruling." All eyes turned, the air thick with anticipation. It was clear to all that this case held consequences that reached far beyond the confines of these two companies. This would establish a pivotal turning point for the handling of corporate espionage cases across the tech industry. The court has meticulously weighed every piece of evidence brought forth, each detail hanging in the balance, poised to tip the scales of justice. Judge Maddow's voice cut through the silence as he declared that the testimony of Priya Nair, backed by damning electronic communications and the meticulous notes of Mr. Haberman, lays bare the undeniable truth of corporate espionage. Haberman shut his eyes, surrendering to the weight of despair. Thus, the fate of Magnetech's patent number 108726651 hangs in the balance, now rendered invalid. She hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing down on her before she forged ahead. Moreover, in accordance with Section 47B of the Technological Innovation Protection Act, Magnetech Industries faces a formidable barrier, as they are barred from developing or marketing any similar energy storage technology for a daunting 5 years, starting from today. Gasps reverberated through the courtroom, a palpable tension hanging in the air. She was not merely siding with Musk, she was making a decisive stand that would echo through the corridors of power. She was granting his every desperate plea for resolution. Furthermore, Magnetech is compelled to pay a staggering $20 million in damages to Mr. Musk's company for the audacious attempt at patent infringement, along with the entirety of the legal costs tied to this explosive case. Her gaze pierced through to Haberman, unwavering and intense. "This court hereby directs that this matter be referred to the U.S. The Attorney's Office is poised to scrutinize potential criminal charges linked to the high-stakes world of industrial espionage and the grave implications of perjury." Haberman's face drained of color. Carl gripped his client's arm, a firm anchor in the storm of uncertainty. "Before we reach the end," Judge Maddow declared, "I must bring something to light." She took off her glasses, her gaze piercing through the gallery packed with reporters. As the trial commenced, I found myself grappling with the unsettling notion of Mr. Musk standing alone in his defense. I questioned his abilities, and with a heavy heart, I must admit, I uttered remarks that were far from professional. Murmurs erupted through the courtroom, a palpable tension hanging in the air at this unexpected admission. The court has been brought to a pivotal realization. With a weighty tone, she declared, Mr. Musk has shown that the realm of innovative thinking extends beyond technology, penetrating the very fabric of legal strategy. His preparation and presentation of this case were nothing short of extraordinary, a true testament to his skill and dedication. Musk's head tilted slightly, a silent recognition of her words hanging heavily in the air. The court is now adjourned. Judge Maddow struck her gavel with a resounding finality. The courtroom burst into a cacophony of fervent discussion. Reporters surged toward the doors, urgency propelling them to file their stories before the moment slipped away. Haberman and Carl gathered closely with their team, expressions dark and foreboding. Layla rushed to Musk's side, urgency pulsing through her veins. "We did it," she exclaimed, her eyes ablaze with intensity. "You were nothing short of extraordinary." "We were nothing short of extraordinary," Musk insisted, his voice sharp and unwavering. "Your technical expertise proved to be absolutely vital." As they hastily assembled their materials, Judge Maddow advanced with an air of authority. "Mr. Musk, we need to talk. Now." Layla made her exit, leaving them in a heavy silence, the air thick with unspoken words. The judge declared it a remarkable case. "I've never witnessed anything as extraordinary as this." "Thank you, Your Honor." "Can I pose a question? Was that first day merely a performance?" Musk's lips curled into a faint smile, a fleeting moment that hinted at something deeper beneath the surface. "Not completely." A wave of anxiety coursed through me, yet I knew that presenting myself as unprepared was a calculated move. Judge Maddow's head shook in disbelief, her eyes wide with astonishment. "Executed with breathtaking precision." She paused, a weight hanging in the air, before finally revealing, "My son found a new job, by the way. He is fighting through, emerging stronger than ever." "I'm relieved to hear it," Musk responded with a weighty sincerity. "Well," she said, her hand trembling as she extended it, "congratulations on your hard-fought victory." As they shook hands, an electric tension crackled in the air, a silent exchange that held the weight of unspoken promises and hidden intentions. A fragile respect that had been absent just days before. Outside the courthouse, a throng of reporters closed in on Musk, their cameras flashing like lightning in a storm. "Mr. Musk, what emotions surge within you at this moment of triumph? Was your strategy meticulously crafted from the very start? Are you prepared to take criminal action against Haberman?" Musk lifted his hands, commanding silence in the charged atmosphere. "I arrived here in pursuit of justice, not vengeance. The ruling stands as a testament, echoing its own weighty significance. Now, if you'll pardon me, I have urgent matters to attend to." He navigated through the throng, each step heavy with anticipation, until he reached Layla, who stood by their car, a beacon in the chaos. As they sped away from the courthouse, Layla's curiosity surged within her, a tempest of unanswered questions swirling in her mind. "What unfolds next?" she demanded. Musk gazed out the window, his mind racing with what lay ahead. "Now we return to the heart of the matter, constructing creations that alter the very fabric of existence." Yet, as the words left his lips, an unsettling realization gripped him. This case had irrevocably altered something profound. Not merely for his company, but for the fate of the entire tech industry hangs in the balance. The next time a company contemplated the treacherous act of stealing another's innovation, the haunting memory of Magnetech's downfall would loom large in their minds. And maybe, just maybe, they would reconsider their choices. 2 months later, a sleek black car approached the security gate at Musk Innovations headquarters, its presence commanding attention and anticipation. Judge Rachel Maddow revealed her ID, the air thick with anticipation. to the guard, who scrutinized his list with a furrowed brow before finally waving her through, the tension hanging thick in the air. She stepped down from the bench just 1 month after the Magnetech case, leaving the legal community in shock and disbelief. 30 years was more than enough, she declared to the reporters, her voice trembling with intensity. The moment has arrived for daunting new challenges to confront us. In the lobby, Sean Hannity greeted her with a smile. Judge Maddow, the moment has arrived for our paths to cross once more. Please call me Rachel, the former judge replied, returning the smile. I'm not waiting for you in the lab, Layla declared, her voice cutting through the tension as she forged ahead. He can hardly contain his excitement about the tour. They strode through the glaring corridors where engineers and scientists toiled relentlessly on projects that held the power to redefine the future. Rachel noticed the energy in the air, a sense of purpose and innovation that reminded her of her own youth. Musk met them at the entrance to the main laboratory, dressed in his usual simple attire. Judge Maddow, welcome to our facility. Thank you for inviting me, she replied. And please, it's Rachel now. Musk nodded, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. Rachel then, ready to see what we're working on? For the next hour, he led her through the shadowy corridors of the lab, each step heavy with unspoken tension. He explained their latest advances in energy storage, now protected from Magnetech's interference, and several other projects that left her amazed. This is incredible, she exclaimed, her eyes wide as they halted by the window, gazing out at the testing grounds below. In stark contrast to the realm of law. Is that the reason you chose to retire? Musk inquired, searching for an alternative path. Partly, she admitted. 30 years of other people's problems takes a toll. I was ready for a change. They pressed on into a more secluded part of the building, stepping into a small conference room that offered a breathtaking view of the looming mountains. The coffee sat ominously on the table, a silent witness to the tension in the air. I have a confession to make, Musk said, his voice low and charged as they settled into their seats. There's a reason I invited you here today. I suspected as much, Rachel replied, her voice laced with tension as she sipped her coffee. What could it possibly be? Musk's gaze lingered on her, a storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. Throughout the trial, did you ever question the reason behind my decision to represent myself? It was more than mere strategy. I wanted to face you directly. Rachel's brow furrowed deeply. Confront me? Why must this be? What drives the question to the very edge of understanding? Because I knew who you were, Musk declared with an air of certainty. Not merely in the role of a judge, but as an engineer, the stakes are high. She stared at him, coffee forgotten. What are you trying to say? Before you embarked on your law career, you were Rachel Maddow of MIT, the brilliant mind behind a groundbreaking battery design in the tumultuous 1980s. Rachel set down her cup, her hand trembling slightly. How did you know that? It feels like an eternity has passed. I take it upon myself to understand the intricate history of my field, Musk declared, his voice steady yet charged with intensity. Your design transcended the era in which it was created. A company called Vertex Tech stole it from you, as I recall. Yes, she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence. They did indeed. I was young, so utterly naive. I showed them my prototype, thinking they would help develop it. Instead, they claimed it as their own. That is precisely why you chose to attend law school, Musk emphasized, to ensure that such a fate would not befall others. Rachel nodded, her heart racing at the unexpected depth of his understanding of her story. I found myself powerless, unable to muster the resources to confront them in the courtroom. In those days, the absence of laws such as Section 47B left individual inventors vulnerable and exposed. Did you know you were assigned to my case because of your technical background? Musk asked. Absolutely. The court frequently pairs judges with the necessary expertise to tackle the complexities of each case. What you didn't know, Musk pressed on, is that I uncovered this connection long before anyone else. Once I learned you would be presiding, I delved deep into your background, leaving no stone unturned. Understanding dawned in Rachel's eyes. You meticulously crafted your entire legal strategy. Tattoo captivates not only your technical insight, but also your personal narrative, Musk asserted. I was certain you would see the truth of Haberman's actions, for they mirrored your own experience. All that fumbling on the first day, she began, was a calculated move to ensure everyone underestimated her. Me, Musk confirmed with a smile, including you. To his astonishment, Rachel erupted into laughter. It is infuriating that you twisted the court's proceedings in such a deceitful manner. I choose to see it as a matter of grasping the essence of my audience, Musk responded, his voice steady yet charged with intensity. The evidence was real. The law was undeniably real. I delivered it in a manner I was certain would strike a chord with you. Brilliant, she acknowledged, utterly astonishing. They sat in silence, the weight of the moment pressing down on them, two minds entwined in a fragile connection that neither had anticipated. So, Rachel finally demanded, why am I truly here today? Surely not just for a tour and a revelation. No, Musk conceded with a heavy heart. I have a proposition for you that could change everything. He opened a folder on the table and slid it toward her. Within lay a contract, its implications heavy in the air. He explained that he requires an individual who comprehends the intricate interplay of technology and law to lead our legal department. Someone who can protect our innovations while helping us navigate complex regulatory issues. Rachel raised an eyebrow. You want to hire me? I seek to join forces with you, Musk corrected. Your journey, marked by betrayal as an engineer and the fierce defense of innovation as a judge, positioned you in a realm of unparalleled qualification. It's been 30 years since I last practiced law, she emphasized, a shadow of regret crossing her face. You mustn't. A team of attorneys will be at your command. What I need is your judgment and understanding of both worlds. Rachel's fingers trembled as they skimmed the contract, her mind racing with the weight of the offer before her. It would be a monumental shift. Change fuels innovation, Musk responded, and I have a feeling you didn't step away just to spend your days on the golf course. She laughed again. You have me there. With a sudden resolve, Rachel rose from her seat and approached the window, her gaze fixed on the imposing mountains beyond. For decades she had wielded the law from the bench, her authority casting a long shadow over all who dared to challenge it. Now she had a chance to protect innovation from within, to help create rather than just judge. She spun around to face Musk. Before I make my choice, there is one question that looms large in my mind. Was any of this your strategy in court? This job offer is a calculated move, driven by the bitter reality that my son was unjustly stripped of his position when you took over Solar Tech. No, Musk replied with unwavering sincerity. That was a choice made in the heat of the moment. It's not about you. This is also a business decision. I believe you're the right person for this role. Satisfied with his answer, Rachel made her decision. She removed her judicial robe, which she had brought with her in a garment bag, and draped it over the chair, symbolically leaving her old role behind. At that moment she declared, mirroring Musk's earlier sentiments to Sean, there are times when you must take matters into your own hands. Musk rose to his feet, his hand outstretched, a silent challenge hanging in the air. Welcome to the team, Rachel. The moment has arrived, and the stakes are high. As their hands clasped, an electric tension filled the air. Both understood that this moment marked the dawn of an extraordinary journey. Two brilliant minds, once fierce adversaries, now stand together, bound by a shared and urgent mission. In a dimly lit office, nearly devoid of life, Maggie Haberman meticulously gathered the remnants of his existence, each item a haunting reminder of what once was. Magnetech's board had forced him to resign. The 5-year ban had plunged their energy division into chaos, and the shadow of pending criminal charges loomed ominously over them. He believed himself cunning, pilfering ideas rather than conjuring them from the depths of his own mind. Now he understood what Elon Musk had known all along. True innovation cannot be stolen. It demands to be earned. Thanks for watching. The judge chuckles at Elon Musk in the courtroom, only to be left speechless by his unexpected legal brilliance. I trust this tale of unforeseen courtroom brilliance captivated you. From where are you tuning in today? Reveal your location in the comments below and let the world know where you stand. If this story has brought a glimmer of light to your day, I urge you to hit that like button. Let's ignite a wave of kindness for others who may also need it in their lives. And if you crave more captivating tales like this one, click on the video flashing on your screen at this very moment. Until we meet again.